June the 4th, 2019. You're looking at geosatellite images from over the Gulf of Mexico, guys. The center of rotation of the system we've been watching is right here, and it moved up out of the bay. It's moving out of the Bay of Campeche very fast. But what's happened is that as the clouds that we had seen wrap around the storm for the last few days, they have been pushed north very fast today. It's coming in really about a day ahead of time as far as the main problem with it. Here at this area of rotation, it's down to a 20% chance of development because it has kind of one leg onshore and losing energy. But if this thing completely faded out, I'm not saying it is, we'll look at all the models, but if it did right now, the damage has been done, guys. Look at the cloud tops here. We're already getting rain into Houston, into Louisiana. There's already flash flood warnings and watches out for the entire area of that we've been watching, talking about Shafala Basin and all of that area. So the damage has been done. This is going to come ashore. We'll take a look at it. But guys, right now, again, your rotation is in this area. It's not much there, but there's a tremendous amount of energy being pushed out this way. We need to watch it. And let's look at the current spaghetti models on where the storm may track. And if it comes back offshore, that will determine whether or not it will re-strengthen. But again, when you see this type of high cloud activity and thunderstorms popping up, the damage has been done for what we were concerned with most is heavy rains and the floods that are already occurring there. Guys, this system, without the high winds, can do as much flood damage as a major hurricane. Because look how wide the storm is. It reaches in the bottom from the Bay of Campeche all the way up into the Louisiana-Texas coast, over 500 miles. There's a lot of moisture. Now, the other factor that we've been talking about in watching this system is the front coming out of Texas. And this is the line right here that's separating the storm coming north and the front that's moving east. See that? So this storm is about to get caught into that front, and that's going to determine where this area of storms goes. Again, we'll look at the National Weather Service and what they're saying, and where the actual center of the storm or the low pressure system is here, guys. But let's take a look at that. But again, we're going to be dealing with the Texas system, which is going to add moisture. And when two fronts collide like this, a lot of times, guys, they will squeeze moisture out along that impact trail. And you see where that leads? Right in across the area of the Mississippi River. Now, let's look at the infrared a moment before we switch over to the other models. Look at the amount of energy in the clouds I was pointing out and the amount of rain. You're going to have flooding. You're going to have thunderstorms, too. Notice in Texas. Guys, look along the east coast and over Florida. We have so much heat from the Gulf itself and all far inland, with the Misery Index as far as heat is very high throughout the southeast. It is 6:21 p.m. Central Time now as I'm reading this. The outside temperature is 88 degrees, but the real feel, because of the humidity, is 96. Again, 6:21 p.m. And it's kind of overcast because of what you're seeing. We're here in central Mississippi, and already storms coming across here, which is Vicksburg, Mississippi, just south of Eagle Lake in that area, Greenville. All of this is flooded, guys. Some of the highways are 6 feet under, and hundreds of thousands of acres of crops could not be planted, will not be planted because the river rises slow and it goes down very slow. It's a very huge river. If you've never been on the Mississippi River, guys, it's nothing to play with. But look at the moisture. Again, Florida up the east coast popping up from Georgia into South Carolina because of all of this energy and the size of this storm. Again, they've got it tracking down in this area, but this is that first outer band, if that's what you want to call it, of thunderstorms. This is going to be a chaotic season. You've got to prepare. Now, like I said, the center of this low pressure area is right here, guys, where all of the lines start. So you've got half of it kind of ashore. But note, and here's my other concern. Like I said, it could go completely west into the mountains of Mexico, and the damage has been done. But if it comes back out, like 3 models now are showing, you combine just the heat, and then the heat of the ocean is there in the Gulf, guys. It's very hot. So that the ball game is not over yet. Like I said, the damage has been done as far as the initial wave of flooding. They can't take any more. They are trying to push back. Remember opening the Morganza spillway to the 9th? This could update that. And if, guys, all of my friends that are in that area, guys, I lived I went to 4th grade in Beers High School down way on the Mississippi River, down around past Port Sulphur. So I've been there. I've caught 7-foot alligator guard on the hand line when I was 9 years old, back in the bayou. I know what it's a beautiful place. But guys, right now it's becoming dangerous. There's 2 scenarios there. We know that on the 9th they're going to open it, and we were looking at the video this morning, 25,000 acres of farmland. You're going to have a lot of, they're evacuating cattle, but just like up in Lake, or Eagle Lake, Mississippi, where the video I did back in March, that's still much, the water's much higher than it was then. There's a lot of dead wildlife, a lot of drowned deer and things like that. But guys, the other part of this is if it comes offshore again, far enough to where it has enough energy, because right now it's almost on land, so it's really getting pulled down. It's like a 20% chance of this developing as is. But these models are telling a different story, and so we have to pay attention to it. If it comes back out in any of these 3 areas, now the furthest out would be the worst. It crosses Lake Pontchartrain, but these storms would be wider than the spaghetti model, because that only indicates the center. And you see that this area that we're looking at, guys, is almost filling up this entire area, all the way again from the Bay of Campeche up, coming ashore now in Houston and Louisiana. So there's going to be 2 or 3 days of moisture coming into Louisiana, Mississippi, all the way across. And the spaghetti models are telling the story of it. So we need to watch it. Just the scenario is easy to see. Coming offshore, back into warm water, re-strengthening. So by the time it comes inland, then you may have some damaging winds and power outages. You understand what I'm saying? This is an unusual year. Just last month, over 500 tornadoes, twice the normal. Now, let's switch over to the National Weather Service. In these dark green areas, you've got flood watches and flash flood watches already setting up in this area where you're starting to see the outer bands of this system come in right there. Again, the winds are 20, 30 knots, nothing major yet, not big enough to bring it into a tropical storm or tropical depression yet, but the rain is going to be the problems. In these bright green areas, there's already flood warnings and flood advisories out. In these areas, severe thunderstorm warnings because of the system that we looked at that is starting to meet the outer edges of this Gulf system right here. So guys, from here, you can see already you're getting these severe thunderstorm watches over in Carolina, parts of Georgia from what we were watching pop up there. And this goes up across the nation. I don't know if these will shift over into tornadic activity or not, but the combination of what we're seeing here and what's moving in could be pretty rough tonight, guys, especially when they meet up in the northern part of Louisiana, coming out of Texas, guys, into Arkansas and Mississippi, Tennessee. Pay attention to this. If we get some updates, I'll update it again tonight. But let's look at the National Weather Radar itself. Now, just yesterday, we were not expected to get much rain for the next 3 or 4 days, guys, but now that's starting to change. This energy is building, so areas here in my state are already starting to see storms and thunderstorms. To be honest with you, all of the farmers that are in the upper elevation in places like where I live are not flooded in the deltas, and they need some rain. It's been pretty dry for a couple of weeks and real hot. We've had to water our small garden. But you got storms again in Alabama, you can see over in Florida. All along this area, we need to watch it tonight. But this area right here, guys, is telling the tale of what could be trouble for Shafalaya. The Shafalaya River, I think that means long river. And it's a large area with a beautiful river that goes through it. I hate to see what they're going to do to it, so we got to watch this. The report this morning said on June 9th, 5 days away, now only 4 going on, till they were going to open the Morganza Spillway anyway. The farmers there have been moving the cattle. And the ones that have, you saw the big cornfields and things like that, they know they're going to lose them. It's just one of the risks that they take for planting in that area, I guess. But again, you've got all of this setting up, and it stretches much further out. This is only the edges of the radar loops. You see these rounded edges? But you saw what was out there. And guys, I will do my best to try to get an update. If they come in with an 8 or 8:30 p.m. update on where the storm is and what it's looking like, we'll look at that and come back here to the National Weather Service. So it's a heads up, guys. This is going to be kind of tricky. It's going to be a bad time for the flooded areas, and we're just going to have to watch and see what the storm does. It could pick up water spouts. You could have marine warnings going up, which more than likely will happen tonight. But and maybe some inland tornadoes. It's very hot. It's a heads up, guys. Let me say this. Thanks all of you for supporting our channel and supporting you and your family by coming over and getting the survival food and the water filtration. You know, guys, we don't sell silver or gold or anything like that. The only thing that we have on our site, and thank goodness we have those sponsors, because the way YouTube has taken down our major channels twice, that is the only way we have survived. And because you guys go there and stock up for your families for events like this, and this is the first storm of the season, basically the first one inside this area. And it's just starting up. So go there, look at it, think about getting some backup food. It's not just for the storms, guys. We could be going into some pretty rough famine-like activity. This year, if we make it through this, next year is going to be worse. The next 2 or 3 years before we bottom out in this solar minimum. Not the grand solar minimum, but in this solar cycle. So just be prepared, guys. Things are changing quickly on this planet. Heads up, be safe.